So really good mountain Zins, not uncommon in the right hands for them to go 30 years. So this wine, I want you to put this in your head right now, 20 years old right now. This is a 20-year-old Zinfandel. I don't know how many of you have had Zinfandel with a lot of age on it, but this is definitely a lot of people have tasted it past and said that these are epiphany wines in a way. If you ever get a chance to drink Italian wines that often, or if you're a fan of Italian wines like we are at the winery, like I am personally, there's an area called the Piedmont up in northern Italy, and they have an excellent grape that's world famous. It's called Nebbiolo. And Nebbiolo makes two of the most famous wines in the world, Barolo and Barbaresco. Well, those wines age incredibly, have unbelievable structure, and they'll go for 30, 50 years. And the flavor profile of those grapes actually kind of is similar to Mountain Zinfandel when you age it, not early on. Like you taste Zinfandel early on, it's jam and fruit and spice and just a big Labrador kind of retriever of a wine. It just comes up and just licks you with all that fruit and just slobbers all over you. So that kind of wine. But when you age it, it kind of smooths out and gets all the spiciness and becomes a little bit more like a Nebbiolo or Barolo. It has all this earthy component, all this tar and rosy and violet kind of component. So please swirl this around and smell this wine. The perfume on it is just magical when it's right. You get a good bottle of it, it's just amazing.
Yeah.
We only make about 200 cases a year. This is from the old Baldinelli vineyard. Now, we work with vines that are 150 years old, but the Baldinelli vineyard was planted in the late 60s, early 70s. So this is about 50-year-old vines, but still old vine material. Baldinelli is special. It makes wines that taste like Barolos and Barbarescos. We also grow Cabernet Sauvignon, which the wine outlet occasionally has had on the shelves before. It's made from that old vine vineyard. 50-year-old cab, by the way, too, which is unheard of in California. But this wine is 50-year-old Zinfandel from the Baldinelli vineyard at about 1,400 feet of elevation in this bright red soil. Now, our name of our winery is Terre Rouge for our Rhone project, and Terre Rouge translates to red earth. And it's because we have all this red earth in Shenandoah Valley right there, right around the winery. And that red is granite, but it's got a lot of iron in the soil, what we call ferrous material. And this iron makes it bright red. So these old vines that are head trained, I showed you the picture of the mountains in the background, snowcap, and those old bush trained vines right there sitting in that red soil. And this bright red soil really kind of gives this rusticity to the wine that we like. Not rustic in a bad way, rustic in kind of a really good flavor note kind of way that adds complexity to the wine. So you get this kind of almost, I'll go ahead and say it, it's off-putting when you tell people this, but almost this bloody kind of note. Bill uses a butcher's term. He calls it sanguine. Has this kind of bloody, kind of butchery, I think. So think of, medium rare steak kind of thing. And that's what it picks up from this soil up there. And you get this wine, this very earthy, almost sanguine component with this very violet, rosy kind of nose to it. Bill, actually, when I started working for him, he brown bagged 3 wines, and he let me and another guy try them. He goes, "What do you think about these wines?" And we're like, "They're really good." He's like, "What are you getting out of them?" I was like, "We're getting all this tar and stuff." He said, "What do you think these wines are?" We went, Barolo or Barbaresco? Nebbiolo. It's Italian wine, no matter what. And he pulled out this wine, 3 different vintages of it with about this much age on it. And it blew our minds how Italianate they become. Makes sense. Zinfandel's from the Mediterranean basin. It's right across the way there in Croatia, where it's natively from. So it's a Mediterranean grape. It should be a little bit Italian. Most of the people that planted it in our area planted Primitivo clone back in the 1800s. So it makes sense. This is kind of an Italian grape, so it should act a little that way. So grown in the mountains, it retains that. And you get this nice earthy component. But taste in there also, there's still fruit. There's a lot of fruit in there. It's not jammy. It's a different type of fruit. It's a little bit more cooked down. Think of things like cobbler, like blackberry cobbler or raspberry pie kind of components there, but a little bit more complexity in there, like a good baker would put out. But add also that nice shortbread crust on top of there, and you get that kind of flavor component in there, but also this nice earthy spices. And Zin always has a nice little peppery component when aged. So this is a special wine. Like I said, we only make a few hundred cases of it. We're so happy we can show it to the appreciative people that like wines of this. And the crazy thing about it is the price on this wine. It's less than most entry level Sonoma Napa wines. Like I said, it comes in at $39.99 for a 20-year-old wine.
Yeah.
Like I said with Bill, he's not about people coveting or hoarding his wine. He wants to do that for you. So when he puts it out, he wants it drinkable and ready to go. So this wine definitely needs food. So sit down and have some short rib and open a bottle of this, and I think you'll be pretty happy.